different uh, paths of yoga, out of which one important part of yoga is Bhakti yoga. Raj yoga, Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Bhakti yoga. This is the basic classification which Swami Vivekananda used at the Parliament of World Religions. He said these are the four methods, but ultimately he says that you do all those things but to manifest the divinity within. Divinity is always within us, and to manifest the divinity, either you work, worship, philosophy, psychic control. Work is Karma yoga, worship is Bhakti yoga, philosophy is Jnana yoga, psychic control is Raja yoga. But focus is you, because your manifestation of inner divinity, that's what is important. So in Raj yoga, therefore you do the meditation, you do the asanas, you do the pranayama, all those things you do it. But it is not the question of what pranayama you do it, how many times you do it, or how much time that you sit for meditation. These are not important. The important thing is to see that how that you can manifest the divinity within. In somebody's case, it might be that he can work for a lifelong for the Raj yoga, but somebody else, it may be just about few years, then he's already there in that state. Somebody may be in one day that he can reach that highest state just by asking. So by knowing that your state is something which is blissful state inside, he's always blissful. He doesn't come out of it. So techniques do not so rigid, and it is not the common for everybody. So like that, Raj yoga is but something that where you do it, but ultimately you reach your divinity within. Karma yoga is also like that. Can you manifest the divinity within? What work that you do it, how much work that you do it. It's all outside detail. It's not inner detail. Outside details might vary, but unfortunately what happens is a lot of time people try to evaluate by looking at the outside results, saying that he's doing a great work, so many things that he has done. Therefore, he's a great karma yogi. Measure is not how much work that you do in the world outside. Measure should have been did you reach your peaceful state within? Similarly, Jnana Yoga, it is not how many books that you read, how much of knowledge that you acquire, how many quotations that you can make. These are not important, but the important is, all right, with all that knowledge, are you peaceful inside? Coming to the Bhakti Yoga, we have another faculty within us called as the emotions. We are born with the emotions. Can I make use of these emotions to see that I reach my inner divinity? That's important. So it is not the what God that I follow, how much you follow, whether I follow God or not. All these things, which temples I visit or which church or place that I visit, these are not important. Ultimately, what is important is how much of divinity I manifest. So that is very important thing about the Bhakti Yoga. Of all the techniques, Bhakti Yoga is a very important technique because emotions are very important. Emotions are very important. Unfortunately, what happened, emotions are looked down upon. In fact, people say that why are you so emotional? Why are you so sentimental? As if it is something which is not good for you. Especially these days with all this intellect bombardment, people would give the second rank for the or lowest rank for the emotions. But then when you look at it, your life, you started with emotions. Every child has emotion. Intellect comes much later. A child does not have any intellect, but then child looks at your face, second day, third day, smiles at you. Why the child has to smile? There is no reason, because the reason belongs to intellect. Intellect is not even born. And the moment that you say child to come to you, the child just jumps onto you. Finish. Very innocent. Innocence and the emotion called love goes hand in hand. And emotion called appreciation. Look at the child's face. Looking anything, that there is so much of sense of wonder in the face of the child. So much of sense of wonder that everything is forgotten. The moment child is watching something, everything is forgotten. She is totally in that sense of wonder. So emotions are what we are born with. Emotions are there even with the child. And another thing is that very innocently the child smiles. There is no intellect at all. Why the child has to smile, there is no reason. When an adult smiles, you have to be careful. There must be some reason behind it. Not only the children have emotions, but look at the way that even the plants have emotions. Animals have emotion. You have a pet dog or a cat, you see that how much they love you. And their love is so unconditional. Not only their love is unconditional, love itself is unconditional. Just when moment the spark of love comes up, you see that does it come with any particular condition? There is nothing. Later on we search for conditions. Why I'm in love with and all those things. And another thing is that love is so broad. You have different varieties of love that is there. A friend loves you, and your love from brother, love from sister, love from this, love from that. Your parents love you, teacher loves you. Variety of loves are there, aspects of love. It's like the way that sun ray passes through the prism, provides all the different colors of the rainbow. Like that, it manifests in so many different ways. Unfortunately, today that we have mistaken it so much that we think love means only it is connected with man and woman, sex, and another thing it is connected to sex. So unfortunate. That's a degeneration that we have. And then because the church, the and then the marriage does not take place or the partnership does not happen and something like that, immediately you feel broken down, and then you say blame the love. Or when love was there, wonderful everything, but then suddenly you blame the love for no reason. It's your own misunderstanding or your own paper kind of a thing because of which it did not happen, but we blame the love itself. So there is one level, that love which spontaneously comes up, and that's the only emotion we have. There's absolutely no other emotion. As I said, that one emotion called love manifests in the form of, when somebody is suffering, it manifests in the form of compassion. When somebody is respectful, it manifests in the form of a respect for somebody, elderly person, knowledgeable person. So it is the same love manifests in so many different ways. And if nothing else, there is a friendship that is there with everybody. And this friendship form of love is something which is very important behind all other aspects of love. Like between relationship, husband and wife relationship, without the aspect of friendship behind it, it's a disaster. Similarly, the student and teacher, if there is no friendship behind that, then the communication is not so easy, difficult. Same brothers and siblings and sisters and all that, there is love. Friendship is something which is very important. Many times what happens is that this friendship is lost between the parents and children. Particularly in America, I keep saying that when the child is there and the parents will be like policemen all the time. Do this, don't do this, that and all that. The child also tolerates you up to 16, 17 years. Once he's become a teenager, 18 years, got the driving license. The parents are in the East Coast, he would like to go to West Coast. So that as far away as possible from them. Why it happens? Because that you did not become that friendliness behind it. If you have that friendship, it will be so wonderful. Two friends are, employees are together working in some company. If there is no friendliness, that becomes like a torture. So therefore, there is another aspect, one aspect of love that's in the form of friendship. We have a very beautiful word for in Sanskrit. It is called as sneha. Sneha is a word which says that if I have a love of friendship with you, I can take anything easy from you. I mean, I don't have to insist that you have to be like me or I have to be like you. That means I respect you as you are. That's what is the friendship. But unfortunately, even that is mistaken in such a way that if you do like the way that I want you to do it, then only you can be my friend. Why should I be like that? As you are wonderful. Like the way God's garden has several types of flowers. Like that, even in the human being, there are several varieties that we are all there. So these emotions are what we are born with. And then to say that I want to go to my nature, peaceful state of mind. And then what is this? Every other aspect of it I'm using to go toward that state. I can use the same aspect of love to go to that state. Love has a capacity to take you to that divinity. And in fact, of all the things, love is the only thing which has got the capacity to take you to divinity. No other aspects of us. Like intellect, at best can understand something, can best analyze something. It can impress upon people. My intellect can impress upon people. But what can really give me that experience of divinity is my own love. That's the power of love. Love can make me to do that. Love can make you to elevate whatever that you are there. Forget about everything and then you can elevate yourself. What otherwise you cannot excuse, in love you can excuse. That's what is the power of love. Love makes the things so easy in front of you. I have so many complaints about something, but the moment that I find love, it's okay, fine, I'll not worry about it. Your rigidities drop, your boundaries drop the moment that when you're in the state of love. I give some kind of an Indian example like this, that you go to a restaurant with, you have such rigid specifications for yourself. Like I want this thing to be like this thing to be like that, this only like that, otherwise I cannot take it like that. But the moment that I go to the restaurant with somebody who I love, and then that person asks, sweetheart, what can I order for you? Anything is okay. How can anything be okay? What about my specifications? Just drop off. I can take it easy. That transformation, love can do it. And love for a child. The young girl, she would never allow anybody to disturb her sleep in the night. She would get irritated when the parents or brother or somebody does like that. But the moment she has a child, and the child is like an alarm time, just every 1 hour that he gets up in the middle of the night, lady gets up, gives him milk or gives him something, calls him, changes the diaper, all that she does. How did you do it? It's all right, child. So you might say anything, but then ultimately what happened? Your rigidities are broken. What otherwise you cannot change it, love can just, like a trice, it can just make a change of the whole thing. That's what is the power of love. Love can make the things easy. And this, it's not somewhere in the story books. It's in our daily life. It happens like that. We can see things happening like that. It can elevate you to the level of the divinity right away. That is the power of love. Just to give a very simple example, how it can elevate, how we can go about that. And another thing is that the moment that you're in the state of love, whatever that is supposed to be the complaint and all that thing, you rise above that. You have no more complaints when you are in the state of love. Say I was in China giving a seminar, and then they really liked me, ideas and all that. And one girl said, I would like to come to Bangalore to your ashram. Okay, come. And then she applied for that, and then she did not. Visa was rejected. She reapplied, and this and that. Wanted to stay here for 1 year course. All that she did, and then finally they gave her a permission for 1 week here, and then taking a flight from China to come here, and then go back. Only she stayed here for 2 days. With all that struggle, suffering, and all that, she stayed for 2 days, and then while going, she said, I'm so happy that at least I could stay for 2 days here. That means all that suffering that she has gone through, just forgot about the whole thing. because that she was here for 2 days. That was a simple kind of transformation. Love can do that. And love can do anything. What is impossible otherwise is possible in the state of love. Way back in Prashanti, we didn't have all these buildings and all that. It was only this house was there. The next room was this place where I used to stay whenever I would come here. I was working in Bangalore as an engineer, so naturally I would come on the weekend. So Friday evening, I go home and have bath and all that, fresh clothes, and then I got into the bus stand. Those days we didn't have any vehicles. We traveled by this rural bus. You can't imagine the rural bus in India, that there are 40 seats and there are 80, 60 people sitting in that bus, standing and holding the rod and this. And that caters to all the villages. There's one bus in the morning, one bus in the evening. And so if I miss that bus, everything is the same thing everybody. So that it would cover something like about 15, 20 villages all around. And then all the village people, they use the bus because it's a simple transportation. And they would have carried their, in the morning, all their produce, vegetables and also whatever it is there. And they sold in the city. Evening they catch the bus and then come. That's a very common thing. So the same bus I also have to come. And those days, we didn't have all these roads or anything like that. Where from main road we take a first turn into the industrial estate, double road. There the bus used to stop and then walk down through the fields. These roads were not there, they are all fields. But then there is a great fun walking through the fields and then talking and reaching this place. So in the evening that I used to go to the bus stop to get into the bus, but I'm neatly dressed, nicely dressed, took bath and all that. The conductor would see me, bus fellow, that he would provide a nice seat for me so that I will have a seat. Others will stand and all those things, that's okay. But then now somebody from the village one of these villages would have gone to the city to sell his vegetables. He would get into the bus and he would come and sit next to me. Problem starts. I'm neat and clean and that fellow is dirty. And then he's smelling and he carried the whole burden on the head in the morning and then went to the city. And then in the city market, whatever the dust and dirt, everything is there, it's all there on his body. Now I'm miserable. And that fellow is happy because he got the bus to go back home. So he is happy. Now look at the way. Situation is same bus we are traveling, and then we are traveling, destination is also same, everything is same. I'm miserable and that fellow is happy. So, and I want to have happiness also. Then what is the reason for my not being happy, miserable? It's not anything else. It's not even the bus. It's not even the place that we are going. It's not that fellow who is sitting next to me. The simple thing is, it's my complaint. If I have a complaint, I'm miserable. If I don't have a complaint, I'm not miserable. So I look at him and say, after all, we have to travel by the same bus. Otherwise, I get down from the bus, and that means to say, I cannot come here. I sit down there, and then it's not one day. It's week after week after week, the same story. It's not the same person, but somebody else, but exactly the same kind of situation. I said, I'm miserable with my all knowledge, sophistication, this and that. And that fellow is happy without any knowledge, without any sophistication. Oh, he is blessed than me. I want to come out of this misery. But the moment I see him, he's smelling. He's horrible. He's dirty. I know some bit of pranayama, but I can't hold my breath all the way from I can't just do it. What to do? And because that is dirty, this thing I shrink. That fellow sits more really. Not only that, he asked another fellow, his friend, come, you also sit here. Wow, my misery multiplies. One day I decided that after all, he has to travel by the same bus and I travel the same bus. Why should I feel complaint about him? I can tolerate him. See, this idea of raising from the level of complaint to toleration comes because of my love. This is what is the power of love. I sympathize with him. I say, poor fellow, that he has to travel. Okay, that simple idea of love manifest in that simple way makes me rise above the level of complaint to tolerate. Okay, 1 hour journey, afterwards he goes his way, I go my own way. Why bother about it? I tolerate him. One day it so happened, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, while taking a class satsang at his place, he said we must tolerate every religion, must tolerate every faith. Like that, he said. The group was there, and suddenly, as if something struck him, he went into deep samadhi. He is known to a person who goes to that samadhi trance. He went into the trance, and then when he came out, everybody is eagerly waiting. Then usually goes for about 15-20 minutes to half an hour, and then comes out. Deep samadhi. And then people will be eagerly waiting for, because the message that he gets from that samadhi state is something which is precious, wisdom. So therefore everybody is waiting, and then he said, came out of it, he said, what did I say?
Why should I have to tolerate?
Why should I have?
Why should I have to tolerate something?
No, on the other hand, it's the other way around. He said, not about these people, because you must tolerate every religion. He said, no. Divine Mother tells it is not to tolerate, it is to accept every religion. See, complain to tolerate and raise above that level, we must accept. When you accept, all right, the moment I accept, there is one advantage that is there. The moment I accept, I see what are the good things in this religion, that faith, and that kind of thing. Oh, in your way, this is the way that you do it. It gives me an opportunity to learn. See, I rise above the level of tolerate to accept. The moment that I try to accept it, there is no question of complaint. And the moment I accept it, then I accept him. Therefore, anybody gets into the bus, I say, come on, sit down. Because after all, you are going to the same, you have to use the same bus, have to use the same bus. So we go together. So the moment that I accept him as my co-passenger, somebody who also travels by the bus, then my complaint is gone, my unhappiness is gone. When I was complaining, the journey for 1 hour that I go looks like eternity. It never ends. Whereas the same thing I accepted, then I have no problem. As the bus goes and then we travel. Now there is another advantage. The moment that I accept it, the next advantage is that because naturally he's sitting next to me, I talk to him. So, which is the village are you coming from? How much did you make money? So I can friendly talk. Today weather is better, weather is not better. So how is the market in the city market? I said, oh, it's very hard, sir. We don't get money. Don't tell me that you don't get money. You must have sold all the material. Yeah. A basket full of vegetables, I took it and then I sold everything. Then I come back. So how much money you made? What is there? These days don't get much money. Hey, don't tell me that. 700-800 rupees you might have made? 1,000 rupees I made. Wow, you see? Now you are richer than me. See, village people are very innocent. They just talk very freely. Whereas a city fellow, you cannot ask him how much money you have. Whereas village fellow. And now when I say, look, I don't even have 100 rupees with me. Whereas you have 1,000 rupees. You are a rich fellow. He smiles back. So what are you going to do with the 1,000 rupees? Hey. Sir, so many things these days, everything. No. How much you put it on the drinks? No, I never drink. Hey, don't tell me that. Last week I was waiting at the bus stop there and you came out from that drink shop, pub, liquor shop. That's only one time. So, you know what? Give all the money to your wife. Keep 100 rupees for your drink, not more than that. Sir, 100 rupees is too small. Can I have 200 rupees? See, it's his money, his earned money, and he's requesting me. Can I have 200 rupees? How innocent that they are. So the moment that you accept anything, you start appreciating. See, tolerate, you see, complain to the level to the tolerate to the next level. Accept, accept to appreciate. This is what is love can do it. When you are looking through the lens of love, glasses of love, the world that you can appreciate. What is a wonderful place, full of innocence. Okay, you keep 200 rupees for your drink, rest of it you give it to the wife because she has to manage the whole thing. My advice works on him because he becomes more receptive because that I tolerate. Not only that, ask your friend also to come here. So let's all go together nicely. He gets down at the bus, he may be going halfway. He said, sir, if you have any bag, I can carry with you all the way. So then I'll give him another rupee and then he brings it back here. You see how many ways that we bind together. The simple thing is that what binds us is this love relationship. Anybody to anybody, anywhere to anywhere, it just binds. That's what is the power of love. You can appreciate. Things where you don't have any, you don't think that there is something to appreciate, you can, when you are in the state of love, you can appreciate. That's why in the case of Laila Majnu, Majnu's father says, Majnu, what is this? What is that you are seeing in Laila? If you want, I can show more beautiful girls to you and you can select any of them. Why did you select that Laila? Majnu said to his dad, Dad, look at Laila through Majnu's eyes. She is the most beautiful girl on this earth. See, that's why Shakespeare said, the beauty is in the beholder's eyes, not in the object outside. If your eyes have that capacity to see something which is beautiful, looks beautiful. So sense of appreciation, sense of wonder is also nothing but an expression of your love. And love can take you to that level. You know, literally, uh, there are situations which you can't even believe something like that could happen. And such examples that we can have. Like, you know, I was in USA one time and we were having conference in Delhi about consciousness. And then I was in USA and then I came across one book in library someplace and some reviews. Then I went for the book and then author, he's an American, white American, living in California, but he's from Boston, something like that. So naturally, I thought, let him invite him for the conference here. Could have nice discussions about consciousness. I called him and then he said, oh, I never went to India. Those days, you know, it's about 20 years back. Oh, India is a developing country and I don't know whether I should go there or not. I never went there. I said, look, developing country, all right, but then things are nice there. At least in the cities that you don't come across much of the difficulties, you can manage it. I told him you can come. And then I also paired him with another friend of mine that he also knows him very well, good friend. So can you both accompany so that his first time coming to India, he should not be shocked? You know what is you're anticipating already. And then that man came. I was in Delhi, our conference, and then suddenly phoned me. I got the phone call. I said I'm so and so. And the very voice itself has that anger in it. And I said, where are you speaking from? He said, I landed in Calcutta. I said, Bapre, anybody coming to India first time, any place is better than Calcutta. Wow, so much of noise. There, your vehicle is there. Another vehicle comes from behind, he bumps onto you. He doesn't even mind. He says that, what can I do? You know, next fellow, he bumped on me and I bumped onto you. That's all. People and honking everywhere. There's no place to go. And in that he said, Joguram, you asked me to come here. I said, wow, I never expected that you will come to Calcutta. But anyway, you know, tonight you stay there. Tomorrow you take a flight to come to Delhi. Delhi is the capital, so that much better place. You will enjoy. Excuse me. Next day he came to Delhi and then came to the venue where the conference was there. Somebody else organized the conference, and then we were there, part of it. And then he came in the morning. Wow, angry. The anger made him look like a tomato, I said, who is Raghuram? I said, yeah, I'm Raghuram here. You made me to come here. I said, how was your stay in Delhi? What, you're asking me my stay in Delhi? Then I found out the organizer did not put him in a five-star hotel. They put him in one of the ashrams there. He was washing the walls. Delhi in January, cold. And your wet walls and this and that, and you are coming from air-conditioned place. This is so horrible. I do not. Please tolerate for 1 or 2 days. Tomorrow, after the conference is over, we'll go back to Bangalore. Prashanti will definitely feel comfortable because winter is not that cold in Bangalore like in Delhi. Delhi is a biting winter. So somehow I could convince him. But there itself, there is some little change occurred in Delhi because there were participation of these intellectuals who were there in the conference. Quality was good. One professor from Austin, he was there, and a few people from Germany. So it was okay to some extent. Then came to Bangalore. Bangalore, Indian Institute of Science and all those big institutions. See, he's after all a professor. Professors like intellectuals. Particularly here, there was our teacher, that was Professor Shastri. He gave talk. He gave a keynote address. When he gave talk, this fellow was so impressed. Absolutely sold out completely for that talk. And then he became friendly, and then they did not leave each other. They were together. And I was there with them because, after 2 days, this fellow from US, he says to me, Raghuram, India is a wonderful place. I said, wow, what happened to you? Particularly Calcutta is such a nice place. Honestly speaking, so many vehicles are there, so many people, but the life goes on. Such a wonderful thing. Wow, that's what the power of love. What you cannot otherwise accept, love can make you to accept. Not only accept and appreciate, but you say one more step ahead that you can go. You can see God. Is it not so? Like, for example, you see somebody who has practiced extraordinary degree of compassion. He is somebody who has helped hundreds of people that are suffering and all that, did all that kind of work. The moment that you think of him and that person he's God. He's God. It's not the expression that because of intellect that it comes, but because you felt it inside. The power of emotion is so extraordinary compared to the intellectual power. Intellect may not be there, but the power of love, power of emotion is extraordinary. Make you to see the God in the world outside. The world looks like God. The world appears like God. Not because that the world is God or not, that is not even the question. Your perception changes that way that you can see the God everywhere. This is what is the expression where Jesus Christ said, I and the God are the one. He felt that way. The world is God. That's why he could say that. Jesus could say that, judge me not so that I will not be judged. It's fullness. And that's what even Islam does the same thing. He says, there was one great saint in Islam called as Mansur, and he says, Al-Hilal Mansur. That means God is me. And Al-Haq, he said, I am God. For the fact that he said that the divinity that is there within me is the same in the world outside, he was actually, his hands and legs were cut off. But then that kind of a feeling that he had, you may cut off my hands and legs, but you are also God. You can't deceive. You can't cheat me. Something where you can't even appreciate, you can find the appreciation in that, you can find the divinity in that. That's what the power of love. In love, everything is acceptable. Everything is acceptable like a divinity. Intellect might agree with saying that, aha, what else is the origin of this creation? Is it not the same God that created me and you? The same God created a rat and a mouse and a blade of grass and everything. Is it not the same? It's the same. So that means to say my origin, the same origin for all these things that are there in the nature. This is intellectual, but it might not be experiential. When the moment experientially we say we have that, oh, I don't see anything else other than God everywhere. So love can really rise to that level when you can see the God. This enriching, ennobling this love is what is called as bhakti. Origin is love, but love is enriched so that you can find the bhakti. Bhakti is not your love for God. Bhakti is your enriched love which can see everything God alone. There is nothing other than God. Then my participation in this world is every moment is like a worship. My participation in the world, every moment is like a celebration. If my perception of the world is like that, it is nothing but divinity, then where is the question of negativity within me? I can't have any negativity at all. These are the great people, they could never see negativity in their life at all. They were only positive. That's how they could make this world positive. You know, when Rama, you see in Rama, there is this enemy of him, the person who has abducted his wife, and the demon called as Ravan. He was actually a very learned person, but at the same time, but he had evil in him. Therefore, he had taken Rama's wife, and then all that war took place. It all almost like 1 year struggle. After that, in the war, Ravan is about to die because lost everything. At the time, Rama's brother Lakshmana comes to Rama and says, so we won. We have to celebrate. Rama replies to Lakshmana saying that, my dear brother, we won the war, that's okay. The enemy is dying. But then it's not a time to celebrate, it's a time to mourn. And then the brother asked, why do you say that it's time to mourn? Because he's an evil king that we are killing him. No, behind this evil king, there's always a great saint. He was a great saint behind it. Before he even became this bad guy, he was a great saint. So he's learned. So before he dies, why don't you go to him and take the parting message, final words. Oh, Lakshman was surprised. Said, Rama is telling like this because Ravan took away his wife. And he's telling like that, but then brother's words. So he goes to Ravan, folds his hand and says, Ravan, what is the parting message, dying message? Ravan smiles. Is just lying down in the pool of blood, smiles and asks Lakshmana, I don't think that this thought came from you. Your brother must have sent you here. He said, that's true, but how did you know it? That's what Ravan says. In spite of the fact all these things if I've done, if somebody can still see good in me, only your brother. God in me, only your brother. He said, yes, honestly, yes. So he sent me to you. What is that parting message? Then he says that, what is this message that I can give? He cannot give. He knows everything. But in spite of it, because he sent it you to me, let me give you a message from my experience I'm going to tell you. I said, what is that? Whenever you want to do anything good, do it right away. Don't postpone it. Whenever you want to do anything bad, postpone it. You may not be able to do it. And this I learned in a hard way in my life. See, like I wanted to build a bridge from earth to heaven so that people could easily go there and then come back. But then I said, anyway, I can do it anytime. Because if I can do it today, I can do it tomorrow also. So I postponed it. And today I'm dying. I did not do that. Whereas I wanted to bring your brother's wife Sita. Right away I did it. Everybody advised me that, why are you in a hurry? I didn't pay any attention to the advice. And today what happened? I'm sinking. The whole thing happened. So whenever you want to do bad, postpone it. You may not do it. It may be a fit of anger, it may be a fit of uh, attraction, whatever it is that you are driven by that infatuation. But if you had postponed it, probably it would have been easy. This is what is the power of love, which can see the divinity in a person like that. And not only that, if I see divinity in a person and express that, maybe there is always a chance for that person to change. However much of punishment and duress may not change a person, but a simple aspect of love can change a person. There's a story, I don't know where it is, it comes from Poland, I think. When I was a child, I heard that. I was very impressed by that story. Probably I was 10, 12 years, something like that. So children's story books and this kind of a story was there. So let me just share that story with you, that what is the way that love can change a person. It was a church forlorn, all alone. Then priest was there in the church. Suddenly there is a knock on the door. Priest comes, open the door, and then somebody is standing there, full of anxiety and must be coming running and all that. And then the father opened the door and asked, please come inside. When before the father said, that man rushed inside and said, maybe it looks like that you are tired. Why don't you have a glass of water? Wow, he took the water. And then afterwards said, I think, you must be hungry also. The food is ready. Why don't you have it? And that person takes the food also. Generally what happens is when your hunger is taken care of and then thirst is taken care of, then your senses dawn. Now this person, after all those things, his senses dawned and he said, Father, you didn't even know who am I. And then you took me inside. The father said, I know who you are. The moment he heard father saying that who you are, I know it. This fellow dug, his heart stopped beating for a moment. I said, because he's a robber. And the father said, I know who you are. What can be more dangerous than that? But then father did not stop there. He continued. Yeah, I know who you are. You are God sent. And that detail is good enough for me. I don't have to know anything more than that. Please take your food. Anyway, he doesn't know that I'm a robber. God sent. It's okay, everybody is God sent. So he took it very lightly and then took the food and all that. And then afterwards, father said, why don't you rest? He showed the guest room. Because afternoon, he rested. In the evening or tomorrow, you can go back. Though he went to room to rest, but he was still suspicious because the father might put me inside the room and lock it and call the police to catch me. See, because the robber's mind thinks in the robber's way, not in the priest's way. So he managed to lie down in the like that, such a way that he does not lock the room from outside, but he did not go to sleep. He's waiting. Meanwhile, there is a knock on the door. Immediately, this man realized his father is going to play some tricks. The father went there, opened the door, and then there were cops standing there. Cop said, good morning, good afternoon, father. Father, please come inside. No, we have not come. He said, but basically we were looking for, has any stranger come this side? Because has any stranger entered this place? I said, no stranger. All are God sent here. Oh, God sent, but you know what, father, see, I know what you are, therefore you say all are God sent. But there is a robber who is in this area, I came to know, and then he came running on this side. Maybe he might come to your church, so be careful about that. He said, if you have any doubt, you can go around. I said, oh no, father. Once you said that we are okay with that. But anyway, be careful. And then they went away. They took leave of father, went away. Now these people are assured. This fellow was assured that his life is not in danger. The father really is innocent. So he slept off. After so many days that he must have really did not have sleep. So finally that he slept off, got up in the middle of the night. Usually people get up, robbers, they don't sleep in the night because their whole working hours is night. So he got up in the night, middle of the night, father is sleeping comfortably. And then naturally his eyes fell on the candle stands that were there, so silver candle stand. And he had his own argument. After all, this church, once in Sunday, people come here. They don't need so many, and that too they come in the daytime. So he doesn't need so many candles. So let me pocket 2 candles. So he picked up 2 candles, put it in the pocket. I didn't want to disturb father. He came out, went away. Next day, the cops came and knocked on the door. The father opened the door. The cops standing there. Good morning, father. And then in between them, this fellow is standing there. And then the cops said, Father, do you recognize him? Father said, oh, welcome, good morning, come here. Oh, that you are. I did not realize, I'm so sorry, yesterday I did not realize that you are in need of that candle stand. Why don't you take 2 more? Why did you pick up only 2 of them? He went inside and brought 2 more standards and gave it to him. Please take it. The cops thought that they did some great job, but here it seems totally opposite. The father showed so much of love, compassion towards him. You need these candle stands, you take it. But then that changed the person. His name is Jinwal Jin. And after that he was said, can there be anybody like this? We only heard that Jesus Christ was compassionate. He pardoned somebody who has done adultery and who pardoned somebody who had done robbery. But here is a person who did like that. That changed him overnight. And then he became a great leader later on. See, that means a love can change a person. Love is such an alchemy that can dissolve anything that is there, any knot that is there. That's the power of love. We are all born with the love. We all have, and by birth that it is there. That's why I said that not only human being has love, animals have love. Wherever there is life, there is love. If you are breathing, that means you have love within. But then unfortunately what happened is that we mistook this love to be not ours, but it is somebody else has to give us. You have to love me. That fellow has to love me. That fellow doesn't even love me. And we are begging love. You are love. You are a mass of love yourself, but you are begging for love. That means you don't even recognize that what's your nature inside. You give love. That's a simple thing. And that's advantage also. You give love and get happiness. In love, in all other things, that you get something and get happiness. But love is the only thing, language of the love. You give and get happiness. What can I give you? In fact, it so happened that I was in US and then Houston, nice, wonderful party was there in the night. Because of the people, last day that friend came, he was supposed to take me to his place, McAllen. And then he came there, he picked me up and then he drove me to Indian restaurant there, Madras Pavilion. He said, just now I am coming from, he ordered 10 dishes. He said, Raghuram, whether you eat or not, doesn't matter, but I love you. I just want to give you. That's all. See, you give and get happiness. If you cannot give, you feel miserable. If somebody comes to you and says that, no, I don't want to take anything, I'm okay. Or you feel, okay, really? I'm taking something, food. Can you join me? You want to give and get happiness. That's why a Chinese proverb says, love is a language of the other world. Language of this world is, I take something, I get happiness. I get a big house, I get happiness. I get a big car, that I get happiness. In fact, if I don't get it, but you get a car, I feel miserable. Not only I'm not happy, but I'm miserable. If I get the car and you also get a car, I feel jealousy about it. See, all these things are there. Love is the only thing that you give and get happiness, even if you may not have it. Many times I've seen all over the world. You see, this language is not just only for India, Bhakti is for India. All over the world it is there. I go to some place and then the food, there may not be any food. The lady would have had just kept some snack for herself. She would part with that, saying that, no, no, I'm not hungry, I'm full. You take it. Mother sacrifice for the children. All that happens. It's out of love that you do that. Love can make you to do that. Love is our own nature. Love is another thing where you give and get happiness, richness yourself. Love breaks all your boundaries. Just you don't have any boundaries. You have freedom. What else is Brahman? What else is Atman? Is it not that no boundary state and you are happy, blissful? That's what is. The other things, the happiness is object will give. Whereas love is bliss because that you are giving away the object. In fact, you charity out of love. That's what is the power of love. We all have that. We're all born with that. But why don't we do that? And we have experience of that also. Whenever we're in the state of love, as I said earlier, everything looks beautiful. So that's why it is said that heaven and hell, they are not altitudes, they are attitude. If you have an attitude of love, everything is heaven. Don't have that attitude, everything like hell. When I had complaints, I was in hell in the bus. But the moment I appreciated, then it was a heaven. Every week I'm looking forward to see that I have my friends in the bus and then I can converse with them. They give me so many details, so many ideas. A lot of my stories come from those buses only. How enriching that experience that is. If you are in the state of love, it's an enriching experience. It's such an enriching experience and love that if you don't have that love, your immune system is very low. But then the moment that you are in that state of love, very high immune system, very high. Nothing really affects you at that time. Well, it's wonderful. You all have that extraordinary state. And I have never said anything which is outside from the normal day-to-day experience. That's what is there. But then what? But why are we not in that state all the time? This is where the real question comes. What disturbs that state? There's one thing. Whenever you are in state of love, you give and get happiness. You joyfully give it, you do it, all those things happen. But you know what happens is after a few minutes, after a few hours maybe, you start saying, okay, I gave you 1, 2, 3, what do you give me? I gave you those things, but then in return you didn't give me anything. You didn't even tell me thanks. Arey, you did it out of your love. And you got you got happiness by giving that. But why do you ask me now I should say thanks to you or I should give something back to you? Because what happens is love dissolves your ego, but then ego comes up later on. And then the moment ego comes up, then you demand. So much that we demand, finally I say that I love you provided you love me. Love itself is unconditional. Your dog will not say that you should love me. It just comes behind you with wagging his tail. A pet, any pet that is there, loves you. Never ask anything in return. The whole creation is out of love. Look at the way plant gives you fruits, doesn't ask anything in return. And then you are seeing the peacock suddenly unfolds himself, and then you enjoy the whole beauty of the peacock. What do you give in return to it? It doesn't ask anything from you. The nature, they give and get happiness. That's how the nature is all about. Including the earthworm, supposed to be born in the earth, makes the earth fertile for you. Doesn't ask anything in return. A soap bubble will give you the joy. Wow, you look at the bubble. Doesn't ask anything in return. Therefore, somebody said that the whole nature is nothing but, whole creation is nothing but full of love. Love brings about that creation. And we are part of that. But then we only bring about this ego, saying that if I give you, the moment that love comes into picture, The moment that ego comes into the picture, love gets corrupted. And love becomes lust, love becomes, and then your giving becomes a demand, you see, because the interference of the ego is the one which causes this. And then appreciation becomes possession. See, when you appreciate, you look at that precise moment when you appreciate, wow, how beautiful it is, how wonderful it is, how nice it is. And that time you are filled with that fullness, joy. You are overflowing. That's what is the mantra that you say. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. Everything is full. When the Rishi said Purnamadaha Purnamidam, this is nothing but fullness. It's not that word that he is talking about. It's his expression. He's giving an expression to the experience that he has. It's nothing but fullness. Wow. Everything looks full. Beautiful. Like that. But then, so that is the experience. But the moment ego appears in that, that appreciation that we have becomes like possession. How I wish I must have it. I must possess it. Suffering starts. Whatever until that time was blissful, now it became converted itself into suffering. Therefore, basically, all these wrong emotions or these violent emotions are the soft emotions in collusion with ego becomes violent emotions. Look at your anger. You don't have anger at all. You don't have anger at all. But why did you become angry? Because that fellow did not listen to me, therefore I'm angry. This fellow did not do the way that I wanted him to do it, therefore I'm angry. See, my anger comes because that I comes into the picture. Jealousy. He has it, but I don't have it. Otherwise, we don't have any jealousy. But then ego comes up and corrupts all these things. When you look at all these things, all these violent emotions, negative emotions are because of ego. Depression. Why do I get into depression? There is no reason why I should get into depression. I get into depression because, see, I'm so useless. That fellows, those people are making money. Those people are successful. And today I'm not successful. That I becomes very important. The I is the one which corrupts everything. Therefore, what is the way that you practice bhakti? What is the way to? It is not to find God, but it is to dissolve the self. I have to dissolve my ego. But then why ego comes up? We trained. Whole life we have trained ego so much. I'm great, I'm important, I'm extraordinary. I can do it. Nobody else could do it, but I could do it. Happily people report all kinds of things which are basically egoistic. That ego becomes main thing. In fact, look at the English language. Every other letter we write in the lower case. When I comes, we write in uppercase. Why do I have to write it in uppercase? What is the reason? There is no reason. The simple reason we have is, how can I be in lowercase? I have to be in the uppercase all the time. Even you don't have to think of it today. Microsoft will make it. You type lowercase I, he will make it uppercase. Somebody came to Judge Bernard Shah, and when Gandhiji was assassinated, and asked him that, what's your comment about, Gandhiji being assassinated? Bernard Shah said, after two world wars, it was at that time 1948, two world wars, world is gently recovering from those losses and of the two world wars. Really, at this time, that it is necessary for the people to have the guidance of the great people. And what an unfortunate thing it is. Recently, Hindi Thoreau, he was another great person. He died. Now Gandhiji has been assassinated. Even my health is not all right these days. People do not have the support of great people. Why do you have to bring in your health? Because you are a great fellow. We always consider we are great. World is going around us. But another statement, Bernard Shah is very witty. So another statement he also made about Galileo. Church put him behind the bars and all that. See, he said the earth is going around the sun. Church did not like it, put him behind the bars. He was sitting inside the jail room, and then he saw through the window the sun moving. He said, no, sun is going around the earth. He was released. He came out. Again, he started working with his lab. Then he found out that it is the earth which is going around the sun. He was put behind the bars. Again, he was released. Bernard Shaw gave a statement saying that church is not really bothered whether the earth goes around the sun or sun goes around the earth because it's all the same. But only thing is the church worry is the earth on which I am staying should go around the sun, cannot go around. The I is so important. So this is how this I becomes so important. We want to be recognized as I in everything. We have given so much of importance to this I, immediately it jets in there also. I love something and I give, immediately I comes up and says that, look, you have been very kind to that person, but that fellow did not return you anything. This is how we get caught up into that. Therefore, bhakti, and another thing is, what you do outside, what happens outside is material. But dissolving the I is internal. It happens inside. That's why this is the method of introvert people. Method of introvert is dissolve this I, ego. There is no reason for this I. I is only very functional. Like for example, I am going to Bangalore or I come from Bangalore. My name is Raghuram. It's just functional. If my name is something else, I would say something else. So why do I bother about this I so much? And I has to be fully recognized. So the I becomes so important. Otherwise, if somebody does not recognize that I, you feel miserable. This fellow is horrible, this fellow is bad, he doesn't know the manners and this and that, all kinds of things we say. And I leave that I. What is the reason for that? Dissolving this ego is what is the bhakti practice. So when can we dissolve? A very simple idea of dissolving is that normally when somebody says, come on, you sing. Even the best singers also try to avoid that time. No, I think now my throat is not all right. I can sing later on. And not in this kind of a group, some decent group. This I becomes so important. Whereas look at the way you go to the Hare Krishna movement. Everybody sings. Even on the street they sing. Where is the question of ego? You dissolve your ego. What will people think? Nothing to worry about it. You don't even know music, you don't know anything. But that love makes you to sing. Bhajan session is like that. Don't worry about what God it is. What is important is that material is not important because the ego comes up, it takes you towards outside. Outside is material. But what is non-material? What is that which is beyond the ego? That's what the bhajans are. If you look at all these bhajans, the words are very simple. Sita, Rama, this, that and all that. But the melody that you get is something which is extraordinary. That melody is the one which makes it something. That's why we have the Krishna's image with that flute. Flute is so important. In what way? Why is it important? Because the simple reason is that if you look at flute, it's after all a simple bamboo piece. And the bamboo with holes. With holes and the bamboo, it is just inferior material. Absolutely inferior. And then you throw the exhale air through that. Even that's also air that you don't want anymore, you throw it out. But then when you push it through the flute and manipulate the holes there, it can give such a melody, extraordinary melody. So material value is nothing, but then non-material value is something extraordinary. Material value is the world, non-material value is the divinity. Non-material value is the compassion. We don't see that who is that person, what is that, but you look at the compassion, that's what is important. Jesus is not important because he was born to Virgin Mary. Jesus is not important because of something else, but the amount of compassion that he has shown. He could risk his life to give that compassion. That's why he is God. God is not God because of anything else, but because of the godliness that is there. So if I look at that, the godliness aspect, I try to manifest that godliness within me. And that is, I'm not shining by the material world outside, and I become, when once I reject the material world, that is what basically, mind has become quiet. Until mind, there is material world. And when you quieten the mind, You have one become one with the divinity. That's what is Bhakti Yoga. Somebody came to Michelangelo, somebody came to, what is the great painter, and looked at that painting and said, wow, it's a beautiful painting. How much does it cost? That person said it costs about $500,000 or whatever it is, or $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, whatever. What? But this, 5 by 5, three by 5 size of canvas and all that, and this painting, it costs $50,000 or $100,000. Then that person asked, how much do you give? He said, I can give you about $100, $200. Okay, give me $200. The seller immediately picked up 300 or 500, whatever it is, dollars. And then that person went inside and brought a 5 by 4 canvas and a few tubes of paints, and then some little brushes. So take it. And I asked for the painting, but for you, the painting is nothing but a canvas and few pieces of colors and all that. So that's what I gave you. It's not those things, something which is much more. A painting is much more than few color pastels and then some canvas. It's so much more. If this is 1 rupee, that's worth 5,000 rupees. A dance is like that. A person is the same, music is the same, everything is. But when you look at the dance, oh, it's much more than that. Singing, is it not something extraordinary? Like you also have a voice, I also have a voice, but when we sing, people say, can you please keep quiet? Whereas the same thing, when you hear Whitney Houston singing, wow, it looks like just mesmerizes you. Much more than that. So all these artists, they are closer to divinity because that they raise so much beyond the level of material level. A non-material level one can raise to. That's what is the idea. Bhakti is that, to go to that level where all right, material is required, but then I go beyond that. Once it so happened, Swami Vivekananda, he was there in one Kerala prince. And the prince said, yeah, this sculpture is something which has got such wonderful intellectual explanations and blah, blah, all kinds of things that are there. But I don't know, here people, they say God is in the river, God is in the tree, and then they pray to the God. They pray to the stone image, God, and all that. I don't know. How do you explain about that? What is the logic behind it? Vivekananda thought, I must teach him a lesson, prince. So he looked around, and there was a beautiful oil painting of that particular prince was there hanging on the wall. So immediately he said to the people who are there, servants said, can you bring down that painting? So bringing the painting from which is hanging on the wall down is like insulting the king. So they were hesitant how to follow this order. But then he is Swamiji, so that respect is there. So they looked around, the minister, chief minister was there, Diwan. The Diwan also became a little suspicious why Swamiji asked to bring the painting down. So therefore he just looked around, looked at the king. The king also said, yeah, you can bring it down. Then he asked them, yes, bring that painting down. And then those people that they brought the painting down. And then Swamiji said, spit on this. What will happen to the people? Immediately the swords, the hand went on the swords, ready to kill Swamiji. And then the whole atmosphere became tense. And then this minister, Diwan, he said, Swamiji, you know what you are talking about? I said, yeah, I wanted to spit on this painting, not on the king. King is respectful. This is painting. No, Swamiji, the painting is also king only. Yeah, I know that you won't do it because you see king in these paintings. Not only in this painting, you see king in the palaces around and the garden around, the king's name, whatever that is there. And it's nice. People have that kind of a respect. On a brick that is there, on a stone that is there, they see the king. Whereas you look at what is the creation, where is it coming from? Is it not coming from the God? Same God created everything. Same God created a river. Same God created a mountain. Same God created a stone. And you can't see that. Whereas those people, they see God in the image. They see God in the river. They see God in the tree. And then they offer their prayer. On the other hand, finding fault about them, you should be ashamed of yourself that you cannot see God in everything. The day when you can see God in everything, what else exists for you other than the divinity? Bhakti is that. When you are in the state of bhakti, you have no complaint about the world outside. Nothing which is not, there is nothing which is other than God. God Himself became everything. God became the river, God became the ocean, God became the tree and everything. Became you and me. In which case that we don't have any complaint. Once we don't have complaint and we have only the divinity around, then we are in the blissful state. So heaven and hell, they are not altitudes. They are altitude within you. Here itself you create a heaven. Here itself you can create a hell. Bhakti, yoga is that where the gap, there is no gap between that you do something and you achieve something. In the other yoga path, you sit down, meditate, take a name, this and that, and then ultimately you achieve a goal. Similarly, in Raja Yoga, you do asana, you do pranayama, and then do shavasana, then you go to the goal of relaxation. So goal is somewhere else. Similarly, Jnana Yoga, you read this, you read that, and finally you understand, analyze, and then you get Bhakti Yoga. The yoga itself is a goal. There is no goal at all other than that. Dissolve yourself, God alone exists. Don't wait, deep inside, we should dissolve our ego. There is no purpose for ego. That is the idea of bhakti. And now I can set God, you can replace your own image of God, your own idea of God. It can be possible. Everywhere it is there. So this, at Raja Yoga, at least 1 hour you practice, sit down for meditation, 1 hour, half an hour you do it. Bhakti Yoga, it is going on inside. And whole 24 hours you can practice Bhakti Yoga. You are in the state of Bhakti Yoga because you don't have ego at all. Dissolve that ego and work with that. That's the idea of Bhakti Yoga works. Thank you.